Hello, this is Pablo,
And this is Armani.
and today we'll be talking about urban green spaces. What is the purpose? Are they just for show? Are they more than just a decoration for the landscape? Parks, community gardens, and natural landscapes shape our cities to become healthier, cleaner, and more sustainable. There are tons of benefits to green spaces. It lowers air pollution, encourages physical activity, and can also reduce stress and improve your mood.
Other benefits outside of physical and mental health are that green spaces also play a role in providing shades, reducing flooding as plants are absorbing the rainwater, and also green spaces can cool urban areas and reduce the need of air conditioning.
Now imagine a city filled with plants, greenery, gardens, and trees. Then imagine a city surrounded by concrete. Which would you like to call home? See the difference between a concrete-heavy city to an imagined green space city? We're going to be exploring why green spaces matter in cities, the history of how green spaces were shaped, and lastly, how we can reimagine our urban future.
Did you know that green spaces in cities are found in ancient history? Some of the earliest recorded gardens were done by the Egyptians and Mesopotamians. They valued nature instead very than settlements. As we move along in history, we start to see the rise of courtyards and public parks. They were designed by the Romans, linking nature to health. I'm sure we all seen an image like this. As green spaces develop, we begin to see this fascinating shift. People start bringing nature into their everyday lives. The ancient Romans were among the first to truly understand the connection between nature and health. They built courtyards, public baths, and gardens not just for beauty, but for the balance, believing that fresh air and green surroundings could restore both body and mind.
Centuries later, the idea of the garden took a new meaning. During the medieval and Renaissance periods, gardens became symbols of a status of power. Think of the grand estates in Europe, or even luxurious Gold Coast mansions on Long Island that echo their legacy. These gardens were private worlds filled with careful trimmed hedges, fountains, and sculptures, designed for the wealthy to enjoy peace far from the city. But as the world industrialized in the 18th and 19th centuries, cities grew crowded and smoky. The need for open green space became not a luxury but a necessity. In England, naturalistic landscapes began to replace the rigid symmetry of earlier gardens. This new design philosophy spread across the Atlantic and inspired one of the most famous parks in the world, New York City's Central Park.
Designed by Frederick Law Olmsted and Calvert Vaux, Central Park was created as a kind of breathing space for city dwellers. Olmsted famously called parks the lungs of the city, recognizing that people needed nature as much as they need air and light. The park quickly became a model for urban planning everywhere, proof that green spaces could bring life back into even the busiest cities.
Fast forward to today, green spaces has become part of our daily rhythm. Places for playground, sports, music festivals, farmer market, and quiet moments of reflection. Yet as cities grow and climate change intensifies, these spaces are more important than ever. They don't just make our cities beautiful, they make them livable, helping cool the air, absorb rainwater, and remind us of our deep, timeless connection to nature.
Medieval and early Tudor walled gardens were arranged in tight geometric patterns surrounded by walls or ruins. It gives a sense of enclosure, privacy, and more of the modest scale compared to the latest Renaissance gardens. French Renaissance, like Jardin à la Renaissance, was more of expensive lawns and sculptural elements. Then we can see over here in the Tuscany Perspective Garden, a garden that blends architecture and landscape. It also shows its trimmed edges, water features, a mix of enclosed and open spaces with a backdrop of rolling hills. Now let's get into some statistics. Studies show that city residents with nearby green spaces and parks are 23% more likely to get engaged in physical activity, whether that's bike riding or walking. People are more likely to utilize these spaces if available. Green spaces have become the foundation of communities. Today, we see cities that have turned abandoned lots in green spaces for gathering social hubs.
Other benefits. With the use of trees, shaded areas can be 11 to 25 degrees colder than surrounding concrete or asphalt areas, reducing the urban heat island effect. This natural cooling not only makes cities more comfortable during heat waves, but also reduces energy consumption by lowering the demand for air conditioning, which in turn decreases greenhouse gas emissions. Green spaces also improve air quality. Trees and plants absorb pollutants like nitrogen dioxide and particulate matter while releasing oxygen, making the air quality healthier for residents. In addition, urban greenery helps manage stormwater with trees, green roofs, and absorbable surfaces, reducing runoff, flooding, and water pollution. Research shows that access to parks and green areas also benefit mental and physical health. People living near parks are more likely to engage in physical activity, experience lower levels of stress, and have lower rates of obesity, heart disease, and anxiety. Even short walks among trees can improve mood and cognitive performance. Green spaces can also boost biodiversity in cities by providing habitats for birds, insects, and small mammals. They act as ecological corridors, connecting habitats and helping urban wildlife thrive. Some cities are even experimenting with vertical gardens and green walls to increase greenery in dense areas.
Cities worldwide, from Singapore's gardens by the Bay to New York Highlines, are demonstrating how urban green spaces transform the environment, mitigate climate change effects, and enhance residents' quality of life. As cities continue to grow, integrating trees, parks, and green infrastructure becomes not just a luxury, but an essential strategy to sustainable urban living. Cities worldwide are providing the benefits of green spaces and how they can transform the surrounding environment. So what does the future of green cities look like? Imagine rooftop gardens on every apartment block. Green corridors, neighborhoods, and public parks are within walking distance of every home, but this vision depends on action. Urban planners must prioritize green infrastructure developments. City residents can support local initiatives like tree planting drives and community gardens that make neighborhoods healthier.
Students and young people can advocate for climate-smart cities in schools and local government. As Olmsted once said, parks are the most valuable of all possible forms of public spaces. They're not luxurious, but necessities. If our cities are to thrive in the 21st century, they must breathe, and the lungs of the city will always be its green spaces.
Thank you for staying with us. This was Armani.
And this was Pablo.
Hello? Home. But this vision doesn't depends. City residents can support local initiatives like tree planting drives and community gardens that make neighborhoods